Well, having understood the term climax, now we shall go ahead with comic story. What is it? You are well familiar with the word comic magazines, etc., or comics in general. So, what is comic? Comic is, of relating to or marked by comedy, a comic actor. Okay, a comedy by a comic actor, we can say, and it causes laughter. We laugh. It causes amusement because of a funny dialogue. It is generally a monologue, a comic monologue. Monologue means a speech by a single person. You must have studied a dramatic monologue by Robert Browning in your TYBA, SYBA. So every now and then I talk about TYBA, SYBA because you have got a background, but there are some students who had a different background, who come from engineering or commerce background, science background, etc. For them, it may be difficult to understand. But generally, I'm just giving certain meanings, which may be helpful to understand. Monologue is a speech by a single person. Dialogue, it is opposite to dialogue. Mono means single, and log stands for speech. So it can be a funny comic monologue, and it also it is also relating to comic strips. The word is used to refer to comic strips in the newspaper comic section. Okay, the term is used to refer to a wide variety of modes and inflection, which includes parody, burlesque, satire, irony, and humor. Parody, I have read, parody and burlesque are almost similar. It is an imitation of a serious story to make the readers laugh. Okay, and satire is generally a kind of criticism, the making the people laugh. For example, the behavior of the people is criticized. Okay, I had given you an example of a satire. देवळात जाऊन लोक दुकानात गेल्यासारखी वागतात. So this is a kind of satire. चार आठाने टाकून काही ना काही मागतात. Okay, so irony is again one more kind of device you used to criticize, and there can be humor. Okay, what are the qualities, what are the characteristics of this comic story? There are two characteristics that I would like to refer. First, they lack self-awareness, and the reader tends not to identify with them, but perceives them from a detached point of view. Means when you read a story, as a reader, you don't compare yourself with that character. You keep yourself away from detached point of view. Now, when you, for example, see a comic serial by that, who is that very famous person, Kapil Sharma, for example. Now, it contains comic stories, and when we look at that character, we do not compare ourselves with that character. We look at that character from a detached point of view. Okay, and it is more about objects rather than about persons, about political things, etc. Or there can be stories of people as well. Fine. Now let's go ahead with these are very not so important terms. We shall go ahead with the next term, that is commentary. In cricket, you must have heard the term commentary. But this is the traditional term for a series of notes on a literary text in the context of literature. Okay, it refers to what? A series of notes on a literary text, means maybe on a poem, on a novel, or on a drama, and it covers points of grammatical difficulty, historical and literary background. Okay, means you keep notes of the when you are reading a book, a story, You note down the difficulty level of the grammar. You also talk about the historical background. You also take notes of the literary background, etc. When you compare this word with interpretation, interpretation is a continuous and critical activity. Okay, means it is not like interpretation. When you read, for example, a book, you keep on interpreting. Means what? You keep on finding the meaning, giving meaning to what you read. Commentary is discontinuous. Means when you compare interpretation with commentary, in interpretation there is a continuity, and it is very critical, very serious activity. And it commentary is discontinuous activity. It avoids critical issues, serious issues. One famous example of commentary is Norman Jeffries' commentary on the collected poems of W. I'm sorry for the small w here, it should be capital. W.B. Yeats. So this is a very famous example of commentary on the literary work. Apart from that, another important concept that we need to understand is conflict. Now, in day-to-day life, we face conflict. Conflict is a situation of crisis. You face problem. So, in literature, conflict is a literary element, and it involves a struggle between two opposite forces. And this struggle is usually between the protagonist and antagonist. So conflict is a struggle that develops as a result of this opposition between the protagonist and the antagonist, another person, or sometimes the natural world. For example, in case of Jungle Book, Mowgli, is in conflict with the natural world, the tiger Sher Khan. Or if you have seen that particular movie, I forgot the title. He struck alone. For example, I'll tell you, Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. Daniel Defoe was the British novelist, and he's written a very famous book named Robinson Crusoe. Now, Robinson Crusoe was struck on an island which was not inhabited by anyone at all. He was all alone. So that is the conflict with the natural world. There can be a conflict with society as well. Now, when you talk about the conflict of Hamlet with Claudius, so that is the conflict between the protagonist and the other person, antagonist. When we talk about the conflict of Mowgli, it is a conflict with the natural world. Then if you read An Enemy of the People by Henrik Ibsen, in that particular story, we come across the character's struggle with society. Or there can be some other force within the self. In case of Hamlet as well. Hamlet has a tragic flaw, has a negative point. What is that? He is passive. He cannot take action. He only thinks, but he can't act. He is facing dilemma, a confused state of mind. So that is what his conflict is. He is in conflict with his own mind. When you talk about short story, a short novel, in this kind of stories, the conflict is often between the protagonist and some strong force. Okay, means within the protagonist, means within the mind, you have got internal conflict, or within the given state of the human condition, your conflict with poverty, for example. Okay, so based on this, you have two types of conflicts. One is internal, and the other one is external. Okay, based on the type, we can classify them as external and internal conflicts. So when you examine these conflicts carefully, you will realize that they may be internal or external. Now, what is an internal conflict? An internal conflict can also be referred to as a psychological conflict. It is a conflict with your own mind. And this conflict, this struggle arises when a character experiences two opposite emotions or desires. For example, your duty, your responsibility, and your emotions. For example, a boy is in love or a girl is in love, but at the same time, he or she thinks of her family bond, her responsibility towards her parents, and that person goes into internal conflict, to be or not to be. Means the person undergoes such an experience between two opposite emotions or desires. And this can be a conflict between virtue and vice. Virtue means good quality and vice is bad quality. Good and evil inside a person itself. Okay. So that kind of conflict is referred to as internal conflict. Hamlet's conflict, for example, means he is in conflict with his own mind as well, but he has also he has to undergo external conflict as well. Means there are two types of conflicts in Hamlet. Okay, means internal conflict is out of the disagreement. No, this disagreement between two minds causes the character to suffer mental agony. Agony means a deep anguish, a deep pain. What is that? Manastap. And it develops a unique tension in a storyline. And it is marked by a lack of action. For example, in Hamlet, the prince cannot act. He lacks action because he is struck in that conflict, to be or not to be. He's, emotionally involved with his mother, and on the other hand, means his love for mother and his hatred for his uncle in his mind are at conflict. As you know, his mother marries his own uncle after his father is murdered. And now if he kills Claudius, the king, his mother will lose her husband. So that is the problem, psychological conflict with Hamlet. When we talk about external conflict, it is marked by a characteristic involvement of an action in which a character finds himself in struggle with those outside forces. In Hindi movies, you come across it. The conflict between the hero and the villain is an example of external conflict. The conflict between the hero and the natural world. And the most common type of external conflict is in a situation where a protagonist fights back against the antagonist's tactics, his plans. Okay, and these tactics are to create obstacle in his life. The antagonist tries to create obstacles in the progress of the major character protagonist. So these are the types of conflicts, and I've given the example of Hamlet. Now this particular internal conflict can be seen, to be or not to be. That is the question. So he's, Hamlet's conflict is marked by lack of action. Whether to do that or not, that is the question. He's haunted by this particular question throughout the play. So whether it's nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them to die to sleep. So you can see, he's having questions. The first question, whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer within yourself, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, whether to fight with your fortune or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. So this is the conflict in Hamlet's mind. Okay, so this is what we understand by conflict.